All right, everybody. Welcome to the pilot episode of the Junkyard. This is the official podcast of Pro Wrestling Junkies. My name is Spencer Cantor, also known as Number 11.
I am Jovan Menacho, known as Giovanni Too Hottie.
And I am Dennis Day Jr., otherwise known as simply DDJ.
All right, so, hey, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get into This Week in Wrestling. We've had Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, so let's just kind of get into it. Let's start off with Monday Night Raw. I know the big thing that we all want to talk about, Retribution. Giovanni, DDJ, what do we think about Retribution?
I think we need more than like 15 minutes for. Well, no, honestly, to me, the one thing I'm going to say about Retribution is that two things come to mind. That scene in Billy Madison where like they're on the phone with Bridget Wilson and the kid hangs up on her and Adam Sandler looks at him and goes, "You blew it!" And then the other thing is thinking of Fonzie jumping the shark, because literally they just jumped the shark with that whole thing.
Yeah, let's talk about the names. Let's see what we have: T-Bar, Slapjack, and Mace. Really? The wrestler's name, we pretty much know who they are. They're Donovan Dijakovic, Shane Thorne, and Dio Madden. And then for the women, you got Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez. And I can't remember what their league names are, but they're not any better.
There was something going around. I can't remember the Mia Yim one off the top of my head, but apparently that's what she's tweeting with now and stuff. But it's just, what's wrong with using, like you said, Dominic Dijakovic, Dio Madden, Shane Thorne? Like, why not? It makes more sense than Slapjack, Slapdick, whatever they're calling them.
Slap nuts.
They went into the
yes.
of 90
you missed a golden opportunity there.
Daubers names and just threw them out. T-Bar, that's the good one.
Yeah. We know Vince got a hold of all those names. They're like, no, don't like your names. Here, have these really random names from like a name generator or something.
It's such good shit.
But okay, so help me make sense of this.
Okay.
These guys come in all, covered in black and everything. They throw Molotov cocktails at a transformer. They cut down ring ropes with chainsaws. They sit there and they wreak havoc in the production truck. And what do they get out of this? Fucking WWE contracts. I mean, if I were to go to an employer or want a job somewhere, do you think they're going to hire me if I throw a cinder block through the window or throw a Molotov cocktail?
No. Absolutely not. That makes no sense.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. It makes absolutely no sense. Is there anything you guys else want to talk about on Raw before we move on to the other programs?
One of the other things that I kind of want to bring up, because I don't know quite exactly how I should feel about it, but I love the Hurt Business. Like, I really like their potential, but it's like, are they baby faces? Are they heels? Are they strong or are they weak? Because and this just kind of goes into the whole the 50-50 booking that just seems to just be plaguing the WWE, because it's like one segment, the Hurt Business is, let's just say, Shelton Benjamin's, loses the 24/7 title to R-Truth. And then 2 segments later, again, good point. And then 2 segments later, they're in Raw Underground, and like Shelton Benjamin's laying some. I mean, like, which way do you want Hurt Business to be badasses, or do you want them just to be another group?
Yeah, I think they're suffering from a bit of personality disorder. Who are we from week to week? Are we these guys that MVP brought together, or are we a legitimate freaking faction that can dominate if we're given the amount of time to? Honestly, I think that's one of the better things right now going on Raw. Retribution has failed, but the Hurt Business, I'm actually bought in.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
And-
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Number 11.
Join the Dark Order. So yeah, I also think the Hurt Business have been a really shining point on Raw. Like you guys say, we don't know if they're faces or heels. Like they've been attacking Retribution and have been on WWE side, but it's kind of like they're hitmen for hire. So whoever pays them the right price, they'll fight for whoever, basically. But I definitely think with Cedric joining, because he was honestly doing nothing with Ricochet and Apollo. So I think that was definitely a smart move on their point, putting Cedric with that group. And I definitely see there could be good potential with that group for sure.
One other thing I actually want to point out, because I don't want to be known as the guy that's continually bashing WWE, especially Raw, even though mostly I have no reason to. One other thing that I'm really liking on Raw, and I don't know how much of a shock this is going to be, but I'm going to say Dominic Mysterio has been great since he's wrestled. I mean, his debut match against Rollins at SummerSlam was great. Right. The street fight he had with Murphy, the cage match. I mean, Dominic Mysterio has been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think on your podcast, I can't remember his name, but he talked about Dominic Mysterio. And then there's others that should have his spot that definitely probably deserve it more. But with the position he's being put in, I think he's done the best he could. And I think we haven't even seen the best of what he can do yet.
Agreed. And sorry, go ahead, Jovan.
I was just gonna say what I would like to throw out there though, because I do like Dominic, his in-ring maturity that we've been seeing lately, and he's put on some great matches. His story's going pretty well. But a little bit of a miss for me is kind of like what's going on with Ray's daughter and what are they going to do with that? I don't know why, but that kind of just feels weird.
Well, again, I'm intrigued but I mean, the one thing I didn't like about it, did they really have to go back to who Dominic's father is?
Exactly.
That's the only thing really I did not like about that. I mean, I'm actually intrigued. I kind of like that, even though she's probably not going to wrestle because I don't think she's had any training or has any desire to be a wrestler. But Aaliyah, I like the fact that they're giving her something, with this whole, she's going to go date, possibly hooking up with the bad boy, or maybe she's going to try to, help him redeem himself, or something about that. But yeah, other than that, though, I mean, this material thing, I don't really, I mean, to me, there's not much, when it comes to Raw. I mean, McIntyre and Orton, I mean, that's the WWE title, excuse me.
Yeah.
But it's just not doing anything for me now so when they did the punt to the head. It started with Shawn Michaels. He's up like after a few minutes, totally killed it. And a couple weeks later, he kicks Drew McIntyre in the head 3 times throughout the show. And the best they can come up with is always it's like a hairline fracture of the jaw. And then how do they counter that? When Drew comes back, he gives a Claymore to Orton 3 times in a row, and there's not sure if he's gonna make night or Clash of Champions, whatever they're calling it, and stuff. But it's just
Gold Rush.
Yes, it's just God. I like Drew, and I really like the work Randy has done, but just it's not clicking for me.
Yeah, and then also in that feud, we've had Keith Lee thrown in there, who's basically been thrown to the wayside, and who is such an amazing talent. I can't say they've ruined him, but they definitely haven't helped his cause with everything they've done with him.
Mm-hmm.
The work changes, the music changes.
Yeah,
they're not helping Keith at all, and that end was limitless, but they seem to put a limit on the limitless.
Yep.
Very, very good point. All right. So that's honestly enough time on Raw, more than I wanted to. Let's kind of just go through the Wednesday Night Wars. We got NXT, AEW. I haven't got around to see AEW or NXT. So guys, let me know what are the highlights everybody should check out.
For me, the one big highlight and the one thing I'm really excited about was the result of that Gauntlet Eliminator match on NXT. I am beyond thrilled that they're giving Kyle O'Reilly an NXT.
Yes.
I think he is underrated. I think
big time.
Absolutely.
And I think this is his chance. Do I think he's going to beat Finn? No, but I think he's going to give Finn a run for his money to kind of throw up that, second legitimate star in, the Undisputed Era.
Right.
And that, go ahead, Jovan.
It puts a good case out there for why he could be a good North American champ, because he's going to go out there, he's going to bring down the house with Finn.
Right. Oh, for sure. Okay, so that begs the question, since we're talking about this, Kyle O'Reilly's now getting the singles push. Is the end of the Undisputed Era coming, or are they just kind of branching out?
That's hard.
It's really hard to say, because, like you said, it could be either the end of the Undisputed Era, or they may, put it on the side and kind of have, everybody go their own way and do their own thing, but they don't split up to a point where, like, hey, if we need them, they can bring them all back together.
Right, absolutely.
And stuff. So I just, like I said, I think all four of those guys are tremendously talented, and I don't want to see any one of them get lost in the shuffle, because they're all better. All four of those guys are better than being lost in the shuffle.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, throwing up, man. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Kyle O'Reilly wrestle before he came to WWE. He had some great matches with Adam Cole, and then I've seen a few other ones. Like, he's actually he's a very good singles wrestler, and he has done great work with the Undisputed Era. But I would definitely get behind a singles push for sure.
Yeah, I'm all in on Rush on the single push. I'm down.
Yep.
Great.
All right.
So, and then kind of another thing on the NXT was the whole is, I think one thing that we need to talk about is the fact that that we got Candice LeRae as now the number one contender for the women's title, and I'm a huge Candice LeRae fan. I really like what they're doing with her and Johnny. I love the fact that Johnny's challenging Damian Priest for the North American title, and that Candice LeRae is getting a shot against Io Shirai. Yeah. And I really hope that they finally pull the trigger and give Candice the belt, because she is way overdue.
Yeah.
And Io Shirai, just for some reason, has not been working for me since she won that belt. There's just something's missing from that.
Yeah. I haven't seen NXT that much, so I can't really speak on that. I was definitely happy when Io won, and she's for sure one of my favorites, but I would definitely like if they put the belt on Candice, or at least gave her a good singles run, because she's an amazing wrestler. Because when she was with in like the middle of the Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, she got lost in the shuffle. So it's glad to see she's getting a chance to shine. Right.
Now, if we can go over to AEW,
absolutely.
Obviously, the big thing coming out of that was they had a few wrestlers either test positive or come into contact with someone.
Right, absolutely.
COVID, which obviously the main one was Lance Archer, which caused the main event to be changed from a 6-man to a singles match for the AEW title. And I'll tell you what, after that match, Eddie Kingston is a main eventer.
Yes.
Bona fide main eventer in AEW. Dude can talk. The dude proved he can
absolutely.
Go.
Yes.
So that was the big takeaway from AEW for that.
AEW, yep.
Yeah, we've got another star that everyone knew he could talk, but when he finally got in the ring with somebody like Moxley, they brought it down.
Okay. I'll have to definitely check that one out. Also, big thing, we have the return of Cody Rhodes sporting black hair now. Tell me about that. What exactly went down?
Joanne, you want to take this one?
Well, I'll go ahead and lead off with it. I think when the music started coming on and, started having the smoke come out and lights hit it and, they're building up what's going to happen. And then that first line from Cody's music hits.
Yeah.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Yeah.
The crowd there blows. Everybody pops.
Yeah.
Dude, I pop at home.
I was pretty excited too.
Out comes a black-haired Cody looking like the guy from that cartoon that everybody keeps posting memes of.
Lazy Town.
And then I'm like, okay, is Cody going heel too? Because this is the whole Elite and Cody. What are we doing at?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think a heel turn is coming down the road for sure.
But,
Cody return. Eddie Kingston, definitely will have to check him out. Any more highlights you guys want to hit, or you want to move straight to SmackDown?
Can I do a BTE hit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Watch Eddie Kingston's promo on the cookie.
Yes.
Watch the cookie promo. You'll be sold.
Right.
Oh, I was sold when he faced Cody, but then he did that cookie promo on BTE. Definitely sold.
Right. One thing also that I want to add, well, and one thing that came from the Cody segment is that it looks like we're getting Cody versus Brody Lee in a dog collar match coming up really soon. Which
wow.
Yeah. So because I believe not too long after Cody's appearance, Brody Lee, like in an interview segment, challenged him to a dog collar match. Can we actually? I don't know if either of you watch, but can we back up a day and talk about Impact on Tuesday? Because
yes, please go ahead.
Because Impact right now, honestly, I think is the best promotion out there that nobody's watching.
Yes,
I think that's a very good point. Yeah,
consistently week after week, they are putting out shows that are way better than Raw, which isn't really saying much. Better than SmackDown, which we'll obviously get into a little bit later, but SmackDown's been really good.
Yeah,
I think they're on par with AEW. I mean, we got we got Eric Young versus Eddie Edwards coming up in a rematch from in a couple weeks on the Victory Road Impact Plus show.
Yeah.
I mean, their women's division is stacked. I think, honestly, they have the best women's division in professional wrestling right now.
I agree.
The hottest one out there is their Impact Women's division.
Yes. And I mean, just overall, just the depth of the roster and everything. I mean, you got, like, your leaders. You got, like, Eric Young, who was basically doing nothing in the WWE, goes to Impact Wrestling, not even there for 3 months, and he's already their champion. I mean, you look at the brothers are there, and guys like Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, the North, who I'm a huge fan of.
The North are great
tag team.
Right. And then again, you got your women's division. I mean, you got Kylie Ray, you got Taya, you got Deonna Purrazzo, who wasn't doing anything, and
Jordan Grace.
Jordan Grace.
Tennille.
Tennille just coming back. You got Sue Young and her alter ego Susie, which that is a really great dynamic. I mean, to me, when wrestlers can play two distinctly different characters and make them look convincing, like Sue Young can do with Sue Young and Susie, and I'm gonna even go back a little classic Impact with Abyss and Joseph Park. Those guys those are talented wrestlers.
Oh, absolutely.
To anybody watching, if you have the Access TV, Impact Wrestling, 8:00 Eastern time every Tuesday night, please watch it. If you don't have it, go on YouTube. I believe their Impact Plus app.
Yeah, Impact Plus has them.
Just came out.
Right. Yes, I believe they stream they start airing the episodes, I think, like a few days afterwards. Do yourself a favor. Watch Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, and then they also stream it on Twitch too.
Yes.
And then the after Impact, that Impact in 30 or 60, whatever they call it, the episode that comes right after Impact.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, I love that. They did Lethal Lockdown one day, and they did the Best of the X divisions with Loki and God, who was it? Sanjay Dutt, when they had their 2 out of 3 falls match.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Dude, these were some great matches that they
TNA was so good back in the day, and I've tried to get back into it. Like, I watched Slammiversary, and then I probably watched the first episode. I just haven't gone back and watched it. I've been keeping up with it, but I definitely need to get back into it. They were putting on some of the best, like you said, Dennis, some of the best wrestling on TV right now.
And one other thing about Impact in 60, and then we can move on to SmackDown. The one episode that I liked, and it just really to me summed out how good the angle was they did an episode on Bully Ray when they did the first match was him and Sting against, I don't remember which two. I think it turned the guys that would, when they were unmasked, turned out to be Doc Gallows and Nux, when basically the aces and eights, like, first one, and then after the match they unmasked one of the guys to reveal it to be Devon.
Mm-hmm.
They basically, excuse me, fast forwarded to, I think it was Lockdown 2013 when it was Bully Ray versus Jeff Hardy for the TNA Heavyweight Championship inside a steel cage.
Yep.
And that was when the big reveal was made that Bully Ray was the leader. And it's just
Leader Ace and yep.
That right. And see, and this kind of goes back into my Retribution rants. But if they wanted to rip off any like faction, that's the way they should have done it. They should have gone the Aces and Eights route.
The slow reveal.
Because the first reveal, Devon, like holy shit.
Yeah, that shocked everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was that big first reveal, and then when the leader of the group was revealed to be Bully Ray, it's just like it's just
great story.
You see stuff like that, and it just makes you wonder why WWE. It's just so they just, for lack of a better term, they're a bunch of. I'm going to channel my inner Red Foreman. They're a bunch of dumbasses. All right, can we move on to SmackDown because I'm done talking about Retribution?
Yes, we will definitely move on to SmackDown, and I think for sure the one thing, and then we'll definitely touch on the other things. We got to talk about this Roman Reigns heel turn. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's been a success? And then also Jey Uso getting a title opportunity at Clash of Champions. One, do you honestly think he has a chance, or is Roman basically going to run him over?
Yeah, I in the video I see Jovan shaking his head, and stuff, and I'm kind of with him on that. Yeah. But the one thing I will say about how well this has been portrayed is I am way more invested in this than I thought I would ever be.
Okay.
Again, like I said, Jey Uso has no chance of winning the Universal title. And it's not
unfortunately
Jey Uso because him and his brother.
Oh, amazing!
Great, probably the best tag team the WWE's had in their modern era. But just the story, just with the whole, and I like the fact how they're bringing in Paul Heyman's connection to the Samoan family, like how he used to manage Rikishi as part of the Samoan SWAT team. How he knew Roman Reigns' father Sika. You know how he got Jey Uso the opportunity to get into the title match, and then basically to go all the way to how SmackDown ended. Where Roman laid him out and said, "You are not ready to, be at the head of this table." Yeah. I just think this whole thing with Roman, this is like one of the very few things I will say that WWE has absolutely knocked out of the park.
Best thing about going by far that last promo that was cut with the ring.
I saw that online. Yeah,
that got me more invested into this match than I thought I would be. Because, like, on paper, honestly, there's no way Roman drops it.
No, not at all.
The passion that just came out of that promo with him saying, hey, you're a big star, and people just want to know which one of the twins am I. That one hit different for me. I don't know why.
Absolutely.
But I want to pull for him.
Yeah, because honestly, Sorry, no disrespect to Jey Uso, but I honestly get him confused sometimes. Like, who's Jimmy? Who's Jay? Which one's married to Naomi? But definitely, I think this feud has definitely showed that Jay can be on his own, or at least have a good singles push or whatever. So I'm definitely glad he's getting this opportunity for sure.
Right. One other thing that I'm also really, and this kind of goes into how can SmackDown be so good and Raw be so bad?
Yeah.
But this whole thing with the Intercontinental title, it's just because you got three guys that can go in the ring. You got
absolutely
AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Sami Zayn. They are rehashing, I think, the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon angle from late '93, early '94 with the who's the undisputed. But see, this is where. And I promised I wasn't going to talk about Retribution. But damn it. It just kind of draws the parallels.
Yeah.
This is where you can copy an angle or rehash an angle, but do it in a way where it makes sense because you've got, Jeff Hardy, who's the Intercontinental Champion. But Sami Zayn, he technically never lost that title. Yeah. Obviously, he didn't wrestle for 6 months. Yep. But, I mean, still, like, they both legit have a valid claim. So I'm really excited for, and again, I think we're going to get into this with a little bit later with the predictions and stuff.
Yes.
But I'm really excited about what SmackDown has to offer for Clash of Champions, because I fully expect that ladder match, that 3-way ladder match, to be entertaining.
Oh, it's gonna be a great, yeah, for sure.
That runs the place in there. Come on.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
That's my boy right there. I love me some AJ. Okay. Anything else you guys want to hit on, or on SmackDown? Anything you guys want to talk about? Any more of the weeks of wrestling, or do you want to go straight to our predictions for Clash of Champions?
One other thing, and then then I think I'm good.
No more retribution talk.
No. I promise this isn't gonna be a retribution thought.
Yeah.
They need to figure out what they're gonna do with this Money in the Bank contract situation. Are they gonna keep it on Otis, or are they gonna give it to either The Miz or Morrison? Because it's
stupid.
Ever since they moved Mandy Rose, I'm out of that anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
I was that me. I remember when I heard the news that Mandy Rose got traded to Raw.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? So they just basically everything that they put into building up Mandy and Otis.
Yeah.
Every big dude around the world that thought they had to cry.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, Mandy's with Otis. All us big dudes, we got a shot. Mandy's been traded to Raw.
Damn it, back to
it's over.
Time to wake up.
Yeah, fantasy's over now. But honestly, I was shocked when Otis won. I heard he might challenge for the tag titles, which is stupid. You need to go for the big title. Honestly, if you have that, I think they're going to probably put it on Miz or Morrison, one of those two.
They do like the Miz.
Yeah, probably give him another, maybe a Universal title run again.
Yep.
Well, in my opinion, he deserves it. Like I would
100% agree.
I would have no issues with them putting the belt on Miz. In fact, they should have done it. They should have done it when after the whole thing with Shane McMahon, because he was actually riding some momentum as a babyface, which really I never would have thought possible.
No, not at all.
But then of course, typical WWE, they go and blow it. So, but I would have no issue with them putting the belt on Miz. And then same for Morrison, as long as they built him up, because they haven't. I don't think they've really done much with him since they brought him back.
And I would never ever repeat this unless we were doing a podcast and it was dire.
Yeah.
Damn it! If Miz and Mrs. didn't buy me into Miz a bit more.
That's an entertaining show. I'll give you that,
dude. It's made me a Miz fan, more of a fan than I originally was.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind seeing him get it.
All right, for sure. Any last thoughts, or are we ready to go to predictions?
Let's go to predictions. I'm good.
All right. So we have Clash of Champions coming up this Sunday at 7 Eastern. We're going to start off with the first match. We have Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, versus Zelina Vega. Who wins?
DDJ?
I really like Zelina Vega, and I really hope they don't have her lose in a squash. I don't think she has a chance. I really want. My pick is Asuka to win, but I want to say I really hope that Zelina has a good showing.
Zelina's not ready for Asuka. Asuka's going to take her out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Asuka's going to win too. All right. Bobby Lashley, the United States champion, versus Apollo Crews. Dennis?
Okay. Again, I was really excited and really happy for Apollo when they put the U.S. title on him. But since he's lost the belt, well, basically since Paul Heyman was let go as the executive director or whatever his position was on Raw, right. That was basically kind of the end for Apollo Crews, and he's basically gone back to where he was. And I don't see this match changing that perception in any way. Lashley.
Yeah. Lashley with Hurt Business interference.
Yeah, Lashley retains, and Hurt Business definitely could interfere for sure. Next match, we have the Raw Tag Team Championships. Street Profits, the champions, versus Andrade and Angel Garza.
All right, I guess I'll lead off again.
Yep.
I really like the Street Profits. I think Montez Ford is gonna be like a huge star in the future.
Yes,
If they ever
absolutely.
split, like, I really see big things for him once the Street Profits thing has run its course.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. But I'll be honest with you. I honestly think Andrade and Angel are gonna I think they're gonna pull off the upset, and I think they're taking the belts here.
Okay.
I don't see it happening. They're not ready for that smoke.
They don't want the smoke. I'm gonna go with Jovan on this one, Dennis. I'm sorry. I think the Street Profits retain, but I can definitely see.
I'm gonna message you guys and say I told you so.
you probably will, but I could definitely see that Andrade and Angel winning too for sure. So
okay, yes. Now he's backing up. He's trying to back off.
I'm staying with that smoke.
I'm staying with the smoke too. All right, the one we were.
You just said you wouldn't be surprised.
All right,
which way?
Street Profits. Okay, we got the Intercontinental Triple Threat Ladder Championship match, which honestly we all believe will steal the show. Jeff Hardy, who's the champion, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn. I'll start off with this one. I think Jeff Hardy's going to retain.
Oof.
Dennis?
Oh God, this is probably out of every match on the card, probably the hardest one to call, because I think all three of the guys have a legitimate chance of winning this.
Absolutely.
To me, because I think it would do nothing but just fuel the fire in his character. I'm going to go with Sami Zayn, just because I think him grabbing those belts and being more obnoxious than ever.
It would.
I told you I was the real Intercontinental. Like, honestly, I think that would provide. I'm going with Sammy.
Okay.
All right. Think we're gonna have our first one where we all picked someone different, because I'm going with the face that runs the place.
All right, AJ Styles.
AJ Styles in a big match.
All right.
Like we all said, any of those three could happen. I kind of want Dennis's to happen now, just to watch Sammy be very obnoxious, more than he already is. All right, we got the SmackDown Tag Team Championship: Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Lucha House Party, Kalisto, Grand Metalik, and or Lince Dorado. So whichever one they want to use there. Cesaro and Nakamura retain.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. Cesaro and Nakamura entertain, because I don't know if they're trying to split the Lucha House Party up or what's going on with that, but just right now, I mean, I got to go with Cesaro and Nakamura.
Even though I would love for them to drop it so I could get back to having the old Shinsuke that everybody freaking loved when he first. They're going to retain.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, next match we have the Women's Tag Team Championships. We have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, our champions, versus the Riot Squad, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. The Riot Squad have absolutely no chance of winning.
No.
I'm gonna disagree with the fact that they don't have a chance, because I think they're gonna in the match there's gonna be a point where they get a 2 count on one of those two.
Yeah.
And oh my God, maybe they're gonna do it, but no, I honestly think right now, even though I'd much rather see her chasing a singles women's championship, I'm gonna say Shayna and Nia retain.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm referring to Shayna as the one woman I want to see chasing the singles women's title.
You don't want everybody to a title?
What was that?
You don't want to see Nia Jax hurt everybody to a women's title shot?
No.
Come on, DJ.
Oh, God.
Guys, for me, you only live once. I'm going Riot Squad.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right.
I'd be very happy if Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott got those belts, but we'll see. All right. SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley versus Nikki Cross. I think Bayley retains, because I think we got to get Bayley versus Sasha for the SmackDown Women's title.
Agreed.
I'm actually going to go with Nikki Cross on this one.
Okay.
Just because of the fact that you're building towards Bailey versus Sasha, and yes, the women's title needs to be on the line.
Yes.
But you need to save Bailey versus Sasha for either. I don't think you do it at Survivor Series. If in a perfect world, I would love to see I would have loved to have seen Sasha off TV till at least like the Rumble or something to really sell, and then they build that towards WrestleMania.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's
what it should have been.
But what I think is going to happen is I think Sasha is going to cost Bailey the belt. Yeah. So I'm gonna say I don't know how, but I'm going with Nikki on this one because she's also overdue for a women's title run in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. She's been doing great work.
Great work.
So my official prediction: Nikki Cross.
Okay, and Jovan, I think you said Bailey, right?
Bailey, I'm with the Bailey.
With the Bailey, you're with the role model.
That's it.
All right.
Wait, role model. Wait, I thought Britt Baker was an AEW.
Yeah. Yes, there's the whole thing about that. Yes. Okay, so a couple more matches left. We'll go with the big titles. Universal title match, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. I think we're all in agreement Roman Reigns is going to be Jey Uso in this one.
Yes.
Agreed. And again, I much like what I said about we were talking about Asuka and Zelina Vega a little while ago.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Jey Uso get squashed. I want maybe not completely squashed, but I want him to get some offense in or something. But yeah, it's just I don't see him maybe getting more than a couple minutes worth of offense in. But yeah, Roman. I don't think if there's a match to like where I would have to bet my life savings on. This one
Roman.
because
Yeah,
it's just nothing against Jay, but he's not even close to being ready for something like this.
Right. All right, final match. We have Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship in an ambulance match. Does Randy finally get the title off Drew, or is Drew going to retain?
Randy's going to win, but I think we're going to get some sort of wonky finish, and I think Retribution is going to get involved in here because if you remember at the end of Raw, that Drew McIntyre led the charge of the WWE guys to come out and help the Hurt Business battle Retribution. And teabag or T-bar and slapdick and whatever match or whatever they call these guys, they're not going to forget it. Like honestly, Randy Orton's going to win, but with the little help from Retribution.
Yeah. And
the reason being, this doesn't hurt Drew at all, and this puts the title on Orton, so you can build towards that long rumored, Orton versus Edge Part 3, and then eventually Drew gets the title back when the crowds come back, so he can get that moment that he should have had at this past year's WrestleMania.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Jovan?
I am going with a no finish.
So no contest.
Ooh.
No contest.
All right. I could definitely see that happening. I think whatever the result is, I think Drew's retaining for now.
If kind of going back to Jovan's no contest, I mean, for God's sake, if they can stop a Hell in a Cell match because the Fiend used or Seth Rollins used a spear on a bunch of stuff and the referee the match, anything's possible.
Yes.
So.
Very, very true. All right, guys, those are our Clash of Champions predictions. Now we're going to get into our roundtable discussion segment. This is where I will throw out a topic and we'll talk about it. So our very first roundtable discussion segment will be on the pandemic and its effects on wrestling. So basically, you guys just tell me let's talk about what shows you've been to. I know a few of you guys have been to shows, how you think it's affected the wrestling business, and just anything you want to talk about that. And let's just go there.
All right. I went, obviously the one thing that I first noticed when the pandemic hit and it affected what we saw on TV, the pandemic showed me how vital the crowd is to a professional wrestling match.
Absolutely.
I mean, watching these guys wrestle in front of no one was just like so surreal. It didn't feel right. Nope. So so that was the one thing. few other things I'm going to get to in the pandemic, but I'm going to let you guys talk about just some like what I think like early notices, observations, you may have seen in this. So,
yeah, I got you for sure. You definitely notice when there's no fans in the crowd. Like watching WrestleMania this year with absolutely nobody in the crowd. It is the weirdest thing in the world. You had a few fans there, but they were just up in the ceiling.
And they weren't even live.
No, not at all. They pre-recorded everything, so it was weird. And then AEW was actually the first, I think, company, like big company, that actually put like wrestlers into the crowd to provide noise, which was definitely a smart idea to do. And WWE took a while to do it, and then they put wrestlers in the crowd. Then eventually we got the Thunderdome. Impact is still lacking, and I think that because they are putting on good wrestling, it is kind of hurting their because they don't have any noise or anything. And then New Japan finally opened back up, and then they started allowing crowds. And so you definitely for sure see how vital crowds have been to wrestling. And then when they're allowed to come like to the big shows, because I know I've been to a few indie shows locally to me, and then at AEW shows, for sure the crowds are important. And then when they go back to like the big arenas, whenever that happens again, it's going to be massive. And I think the talent will definitely be very happy everyone's back.
Oh yeah, I think the pandemic showed us that it's not always the bigger companies. They're not always the ones who handle it the best.
Right.
I think AEW from the offset, the way they place their hard camera, the way they kind of position their film crew to kind of cut out the emptiness of the arenas, they were ahead of the WWE in that point.
Absolutely.
And then with the way they've treated the virus, how they've been with their, you have to test before you come here. You got to test before you get here. They've had a lot less outbreaks than the WWE has. So they've taken extra measures that way.
Right.
But to that same point, you have indie shows that are now starting to come back, and they're not necessarily taking all the precautions.
Right.
And just like we touched on Lance Archer earlier, he got his possible infection from a family member, but there have been some AEW stars who could have caught it at a Warrior Wrestling event. So it's weird. It's a weird time we're in.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Warrior Wrestling. I didn't go to. They just actually had. I think it's either as of us recording, it's either just about finished or they may have just concluded. But they had it's probably going to be their last show of the year.
Oh, wow.
They just concluded like a 3-week what they called stadium series where they just put on 3 shows back to back on Saturday.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to make it to any of those because I'm actually going to a show next Saturday in Michigan City, Indiana. I'm actually meeting up with a fellow Pro Wrestling Junkie member, Brad Marcus. Shout out to Brad.
Shout out, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
And the show that we're going to, they've got pretty much all the measures in place. But I did go to a Warrior Wrestling show, the one that they put on right around the beginning of August.
Right.
When I went there, there was no like a paper ticket. They had everybody's name down. They checked you in, and before you even walked into the stadium, because it was outside in their football stadium, because they was at a high school, Marian Catholic, which is in Chicago Heights, Illinois. Everything was spread out, but they took your temperature before you came in.
Yeah.
So they had everything. They had the spots where like you sat with your groups or whatever. They had them all like spread throughout the stadium and that. So I mean, the group that I sat with was what it ended up being. I'd probably say about maybe 8 or 9 of us. But I mean, they made sure, like you said, they said if you're not eating or drinking something, because they actually let you bring your own food and drinks and stuff.
Right.
You had to have your mask on. If you went to the fan fest that they put on before the show, you have to have your mask on, and they had all different kinds of things in place. So yeah, it was probably a fluke that somebody may have caught it from the Warrior Wrestling show, but they definitely, like from my experience actually being there, they had all their measures in place. Spencer, I'm going to kind of throw this one to you. You went to All Out. So what was it like for you? So I want to hear what it was like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like Dennis said, I did travel to Jacksonville to go to the All Out show. For from the onset, as soon as you step onto the facilities outside, you had to have your mask on. Definitely, they had people walking around policing it. And then when you got into the checkpoints, they checked your temperature. And then if the first one didn't work, they checked it again, go through a metal detector, standard stuff. As soon as you walk in, you have to make sure you keep your mask on everywhere. Go to the bathroom. There's somebody there pretty much telling you where to go. Whenever you're buying the concessions, wearing your mask. And then when you make it into the arena, you got your little bubble section you sit in. You got 2 or 4 people, whatever, and you have to sit there. And like Dennis said, if you're not eating or drinking, mask has got to stay on the entire time. And then, like I said, there was people walking around policing. I think I was sitting next to one guy. He had his mask down, under his face, whatever. And somebody had to come tell him about 20 times to put it on.
Wow.
Yeah. And then actually Jovan was there too. So he can speak on these procedures and everything too. But I definitely thought the way AEW handled it is definitely, out of all the big companies, they've been excelling the most. And like Dennis said, it's unfortunate that maybe someone might have caught it from a Warrior Wrestling show or possibly outside. But it's really nothing to do with anything that's happening at AEW, because they've taken all the precautions by testing all the talent and making sure everybody is good to go before they allow them to wrestle on their show.
And I will say this about the crowd in the bubble sections to kind of give you a good idea and a good picture of what Spencer's talking about. I went with one other person, so it was 2 of us. In a whole row of seats, it was us 2, and then a whole bunch of seats between us, and then a group of 3.
Yeah.
Nobody was in front of us. Nobody was behind us. And then in the skip sections, then there was another row. The exact same way. Small group of 3 at the very end of the row. So it was like the middle of every row was empty, and there was a row between each of the people.
Yeah.
So obviously you guys both went there. And again, shout out to my boy number 11 here for hooking me up with the really awesome AEW All Out poster, which is proudly hanging up in my basement, in the area of my studio.
Studio apartment.
So what was it like? Okay, so I know you kind of briefly touched on it. No, it's just a studio basement. It's not. I can't do the full Colt Cabana, thing. No. But going back to you mentioned concessions and know merch and stuff, I didn't really have much of that. The only merch selling I saw was at the end of the show. Brian Cage set up right by the exit gate. You taking pictures, signing autographs, selling merch and stuff. Yeah. But for you guys, I think Spencer, you kind of explained it to me a little bit when we were going back and forth in Messenger. But when you're with the poster and stuff. But what was it like? Okay, say you wanted to get some merch, or say you wanted to get something to eat. What was that? What was all entailed with that?
So I forgot to mention that, but so with the food and drinks, usually they'll have people concessions, drinks or something. People making your drinks, whatever. Here they had coolers, they had the candy bars, the sodas, liquor, everything was basically just grab and go. They did have people at the stations making pizza or hot dogs, whatever, but they had their mask on, gloves, everything. And then with the merchandise, they actually had contactless buying, where you would go on a website they provided you through email. You click what you want, and then you'll get a text saying, "Hey, this is when your order's in," and then they'll send you another text when your order is available for pickup. They didn't have any. That's the only way you could buy merch. They weren't doing any side deals or anything.
Yep. No cash. All done online.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. And that was pretty much how you explained it to me, Spence. Right. Honestly, I think that actually, especially when fans start coming back into the audience, I think that's an option that a lot of these companies should explore, because
absolutely.
A lot of times when I go, when I went to, every time I go to a show, when I went to All In, All In was a little bit different because they only had one merch stand at the Sears Center.
That was crazy.
Horrible. That was nuts. I ended up paying some guy $5 who was at the front of the line to give me a hat. Just in addition to that, just because I did not feel because I would have missed half the show.
Right, absolutely.
But if I could go online, if I'm going to a show and I could go online and be oh yeah, I want this, this, and this.
Yes.
And then it's I can go, you know, and then it's like, okay, your order's ready. This is where you go to pick it up. I would do that in a heartbeat versus waiting in line. Because then it's like, okay, I don't feel like I have to get to the show like 3 hours before just so I can be head at the front of the line for the merch stand, especially if there's like any exclusive stuff. And that, so like, honestly, I wouldn't have any issues if they kept doing that. Like when, and that isn't just AEW, WWE, and basically anybody that's putting on a wrestling show.
Yes.
They have the technology to do it. I think this is honestly like a really smart idea that I would like to see furthered.
Yes, absolutely. I would love if WWE did this, because every time I've been to a show, or that one time I went to a pay-per-view, it has been a madhouse. So that would make things so much easier. Just going on a website, saying, hey, this is what I want, go ahead and buying it, and then just being told, hey, this is when you can pick it up. It would make things so much better for sure.
Agreed.
Yep.
Okay.
So just another thing too with this whole pandemic thing, the one thing that I feel like is kind of something that can be good yet be bad depending on who we're talking about.
Yeah.
With not having a crowd in there, you really can't tell like if certain angles are working, if certain pushes are working, if certain people are getting over. I mean, I'll use Drew McIntyre's WWE title run as an example.
Right.
I, along with probably everybody else watching the Royal Rumble and who was there, was going crazy when he eliminated Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, you know, okay, they're finally giving him the run. And basically leading up to WrestleMania, he kept getting over on Brock and the crowd was eating it up.
Oh, absolutely.
You get to WrestleMania and he beats Brock in I think less than 3 minutes, and he wins the title. But just imagine how much more special that could have been if they were in front of whatever. I think there was 70, 80,000 people they were planning on for WrestleMania at Raymond James.
Yeah. Yep.
Imagine how big of a moment that would have been, not only as a WrestleMania moment, but just how much that would have meant for Drew McIntyre himself.
Yep.
To have that pop, because I mean that was one of those things that I while it was a great WrestleMania moment,
yes,
it would have been so much better in front of a crowd.
Oh, it would have definitely been probably one of the biggest pops of all time, probably WrestleMania history, if we would have had the crowd. It was super weird seeing that, because you saw all the push, you saw everything was being built up for WrestleMania, and then this all happened, no fans. And then it was strange just watching it with nothing.
I'm very anti-Brock, and if fans were there, his sourpuss ass would have had to wait all night to actually have his match with Drew and not get taped earlier so he could duck out because he was losing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would love fans to be there just so he could have been inconvenienced just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken as well, too, Kevin Owens went on record to say he was going to jump off the pirate ship if they were at WrestleMania. Imagine that would have gotten.
No, as soon as that, they announced, hey, we're doing WrestleMania, the pirate ship one, Kyrie's theme should have been pushed more for that with the pirate theme.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, okay, so Shane's jumping off the pirate ship or just something. But then Kevin Owens did that thing. It's oh no, I was going to jump off the pirate ship, but it's still cool. He jumped off the sign they made on Seth Rollins for sure. Yeah. So let's move on to, we're staying with the pandemic. Let's talk about what we think the future is and how it'll affect the business and when we think things might get back to normal.
It's really sad because the pandemic has just really just taken a lot of things away from us, a lot of things that we've taken for granted.
Right.
I mean, I know one of the goals that my friends and I had at the beginning of the year is we were gonna do so many independent shows in the Chicago area. We were gonna hit up MLW. We were gonna try to finally start hitting up freelance, hit up AAW.
Yeah.
And just and just not being able to do that is just been just heartbreaking as to when we're going to be able to do that in the ways that like we're able to before.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me if we're talking. I don't think it's not going to be any time this year. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, next year I could see, venues like, 25% capacity, maybe 50%. But in terms of going to, let's say for me, for example, going to a WWE show at the Allstate Arena or AEW at the Sears Center, and it's like a full house. I'm not thinking until at least 2022 that we're gonna, it's gonna be anywhere close to being normal, and it sucks because just nobody wins. Nobody wins in this. I mean, the company. I mean, the companies don't. Well, they're still making money. I mean, I don't know. I know WWE's still reporting, record profits and all of that, and that's on probably the strength of their TV deals and stuff. And I think AEW is even making money, but then you look at the small, you look at the independent promotions that can't run right now, which is one of the reasons why I started my podcast, What Do You Say with DDJ, which is available on all major podcast platforms.
Cheap plug.
Why not? But
DJ.
But the main reason, and I've actually talked with a couple of my guests on this that I've had on, like when we weren't recording, like after we were done, I said one of the main reasons I wanted to do this is because I wanted to give those that couldn't work a chance to still be heard.
Right.
And that's why I've primarily focused on having local guys. Like, I had Tim Storm on, former NWA heavyweight champion and stuff, but that was just a shot in the dark. He said, yes, I had to get him on. But I mean, I wanted to give these guys a chance to, get themselves over, to be able to show how tell their fans how they can connect with them and stuff. That's why I'm excited. Like, I'm starting to, Ring of Honor just finally restarted. I know MLW is getting ready to restart.
Right.
We still have, WWE and AEW have been plugging right along. New Japan plugging along, and they finally got fans in the audience and stuff.
Yep.
So, but it's going to be a while before things go back to the way they were before all this started. So I think I've said enough. I want to let you guys have some time. So
I'm going to take a leap here on something that I don't want to happen. I don't want it to happen, but it's something I could see happening if we continue down the way we are now with the pandemic and everything not really looking like we're going to get back to normal or any sense of normal soon. And that would be the indies. I don't think a lot of the indie promotions are going to make it. And I hate to say that because I'm here in Texas. We have two really, really stout indie promotions, and there's one that's, trying to tape for local.
Right.
Of course, they get the 3 a.m. time spot, but it's not bad. They're doing what they can do. But without having the ability of having people in the crowds at some capacity, all these indie shows aren't going to be able to, rent out the schools to give all the seating. So I think we're going to see a severe decrease of the indie scene.
Yeah, that would be absolutely terrible because honestly, the promotions today, AEW, NXT, WWE, all those big promotions, they wouldn't be anywhere without the indie talent today because most AEW and NXT are the indie talents from back in the day, and then they're bringing in new talent basically every week, every day. So that would be an absolutely terrible thing if any of the indie promotions went away. And I can speak on that for myself. Like when this pandemic hit, I was going to a big show at Southern Honor Wrestling in Canton, Georgia, which I will actually be going to next Friday. They started back up, but they were doing like this big 2-night tournament. It had to be canceled. The ticket provider they used, they went under. They weren't able to get the money back. They're trying to give back to their fans. I believe, if I saw correctly, they're going to have the Rock and Roll Express there next Friday, be given free meet and greets. So it's nice to see like companies like that are trying to help the fans when unfortunate situations happen. But like Jovan, if you said, I unfortunately could see some independent promotions going under because of the pandemic if things don't start getting back to normal, if they don't get the fans in but hopefully maybe like through IWTV or like Fight Network buys they can keep giving the money to the wrestlers and the promotions to help these promotions and everything keep going. Because like Dennis said, I don't think we'll get any sense of normalcy. I think 2022 might be a little late, possibly maybe in 2021 it might start getting back to like a more normal position, like with the wrestling and filling at the stadiums with everything. But yeah, the independent promotions for sure could suffer, and like WWE, AEW, they could have full stadiums again, but there's just really no telling. We could be going through a second wave, or it could get worse again. Like we are trying to get back out of wrestling, just a sense of normalcy, but it's just hard to still adjust because you got to wear your mask, you got to social distance and everything. But I do hope one day we get back to where we were before, but I just unfortunately don't see that happening anytime soon.
And even if, and this is one thing too, I was kind of just thinking about just now as you were talking, Spence, even if we get to a point where, you know, we're more and more like stadiums and things like, you know, events are opening up. Like, you know, we see wrestling fans going back to shows, you know, stadiums, you know, for football games, baseball and, you know, basketball. Are people going to want to go though? That's
right.
another thing.
Are they going to feel comfortable going?
Exactly. And that's another concern I have. One of the things too, I was also thinking about, think about what the pandemic is. Cause you mentioned about Jovan, about, you know, some companies closing up or some, I mean, take Evolve, for example. They were basically shut down and WWE bought them as a result of the pandemic. So I think they came and said because of everything that was canceled for the week of WrestleMania, you know, like and stuff, that was the nail in the coffin for them.
Yeah.
And think about all those companies like, you know, that had to, you know, cancel. I mean, Impact had a really big show planned for, you know, the WrestleMania week for, you know, I think it was WrestleCon weekend. And it's just, it's really sad because so many good men and women out there, you know, can't work right now. And it's just, I feel for them.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I think we'll start winding down on this. Do you guys have some more last minute thoughts? You want to talk about the pandemic, or have we basically talked about everything you guys want to hit on?
I think we're good.
I definitely think we hit on everything that we wanted to talk, and I think we got our points across. But just, I kind of want to take this moment to just again, you know, address our audience and stuff. It's please, you know, go to, you know, ProWrestlingTees.com and buy a shirt of your favorite independent.
Absolutely.
Support the indies.
Support the indies. Yes. Support independent wrestling because right now they need us more than ever. You know, buy an event on Fight TV. You know, or and stuff. So yes, that just please, that is as fans, this I feel we need to do this to give back to these guys, these men and women that have given so much to us.
Yes, absolutely. Like, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so like Dennis said, yes, absolutely support the indies. Like, if you're not liking what WWE is doing, or even AEW, you have Impact, but definitely support your local indie promotion. Go on IWTV, buy a show, buy a subscription. Go on Fight TV, Warrior Wrestling, GCW. There's so many promotions that you could support and make sure these wrestlers and promotions get your money so they can stay afloat. So, and for sure, go to Pro Wrestling Tees. If you see any wrestler you like, buy them. That money goes directly to support them.
Right. Okay.
All right. So yeah, that was our first roundtable discussion. We're going to wrap things up here with one last segment. Still working on a name, but it's going to be classes in session with Professor Giovanni Tuhati and DDJ. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to give a wrestler or a tag team, and these two are going to tell us some matches we're going to watch, and then we'll come back next week on the segment and discuss them and get your thoughts and opinions on the matches. So I had somebody in mind, but I think with the recent events of this past week, I think we're going to do a tag team, and I think DDJ is going to know who we're talking about. I'm talking about.
I wonder if it's like if I'm like kind of if we're live and if people were watching this, would this be some sort of like spoiler alert?
Yeah, so we are doing the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk.
First off, rest in peace, Joe Laurinaitis.
Yes, absolutely.
And if I get emotional, please bear with me because I really, when I got the news about Animal after getting back from my coming back in from my morning walk and eating breakfast, I started crying because the Road Warriors were a huge part of my childhood when I first got into wrestling. They were one of the first tag teams that I really gravitated towards. And having had having been lucky enough to have the chance to have spent time with them and meet them and hang out with them, it really just solidified how my fandom for them. So yeah, and just when I heard about Animal, dying, I cried. I cried in the morning. I was actually out working, driving for Uber at the time. And I was talking to my mom and I was crying because I was telling her, like, I was posting things on Facebook about how I was feeling. And I didn't want my mom to go on and see and think it was actually me and her worrying. So I called her. I was like, hey, this isn't about me. I explained to her what happened and stuff. But yeah, so obviously the Road Warriors, I mean, there's just so much to talk about. One match that I want to like really draw attention on, while it may not have been their best one, it was the first time I heard the Road Warrior pop.
Yeah.
And that was their, I believe it was a no disqualification match against the Nasty Boys at SummerSlam 1991 when they won the WWF Tag Team titles. It's just like I said, just for them to, get the belts and just the whole crowd going crazy. It's just like I said, it may not have been their best match, but It was, in my opinion, one of the greatest moments in their career.
Yes.
Okay. Jovan?
With the Road Warriors, there's no real way to go wrong.
Right.
These are guys, these two behemoths, these two monsters of the industry. No matter where they went, they were champions.
Right.
They had the look, they had the moves, the Doomsday device. People
absolutely.
And you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't know about the Road Warriors. Look them up.
Right.
I'm a big fan of their stuff in Japan. I just like their edginess when they were out there. The one or two matches that they did out there. Of course, here I think just if you're a fan of wrestling, there's no certain match that you need to just look up because all of their matches for the Road Warriors, they're the same. They're coming in, they're wrecking shop, and they're getting out.
But if you had to just pick out a match in particular, I'm gonna throw you right on into the fire. I want to know, like, what's one match that you would tell, everybody who's going to be listening to this, like something that they should go out and check.
I don't want to piggyback on yours when they won the championship in the WWF.
You guys said you want to be put on the spot.
I know. I'm trying to think of anything that may just really pop out.
I mean, maybe not necessarily just a match, a moment or something that people can go on and see, like.
To me, the Iron Man entrance.
Okay.
The first few chords of Iron Man hit, and then you get the Road Warriors. That's the one. If you look up, I think you could YouTube it. Road Warriors Iron Man entrance.
Yeah.
First few chords of Iron Man hit, and then you see these giant dudes that is, it looks like it's the end of the world. That's got to be the moment for me.
Okay. Kind of going off a little bit of that, just one thing to add to it. I know when I listen to Busted Open on Sirius XM every morning when I'm in the car, and when Bully Ray came on for a little bit, like Wednesday morning, to talk about Animal, and he mentioned, and I think he even tweeted about it because he was trying to find someone that maybe had a link to the video. He would go on to say that, like, how I think it was Halloween Havoc 1989 was like their best entrance ever. So to kind of add a little context to Giovanni's thing here, check that out because it is probably one of their best entrances and stuff. And one more match that I want to suggest for them, and then again, open the floor to you, Jovan, was Starrcade 86, the Night of the Skywalkers. I mean, just the build up for that match. And I was actually, I was discussing this with Paul Myers, who I had brought on as a guest to my Road Warriors tribute podcast that just dropped yesterday on Friday and stuff. And we were talking about the build up to that match and just the payoff, because I mean, well, again, while it wasn't, Flair versus Steamboat or, or Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect, I mean, they're like four guys that are literally risking their lives on a 20-foot high scaffolding in a match where the way you win is to throw your opponents off. I mean, it's just, it's so iconic in their career. So that would be the other one that I would say, go check out. And for all of the Jim Cornette haters that are out there, there's a lot of them. He does have a spot in this match where he falls from the scaffolding. Big Bubba Rogers was aka Ray Traylor, the Big Boss Man, was supposed to catch him, but he missed. And then Cornette wound up blowing out both of his knees, I believe.
Oh, damn.
I would never wish that kind of on anybody.
No, not even Jim Cornette.
Not even Jim Cornette.
Right, but yeah, like I said, it's just such an iconic moment in their careers. Like that would be something else I would say to our audience, especially our younger crowd or our younger audience, because we have a lot of them in the group.
Yes.
Check out their the scaffold match against the Midnight Express at Starrcade 86. So anything else, Jovan, you wanted to add to that?
Just want to add in there, if you want to know why a bunch of grown men were crying, you've got to look into the Road Warriors. I know a lot of posts on the PWJ, on the Junkie site, the damn toy posts that we put on there with all the legends in the ring and holding the ring ropes. God, that got me.
Oh, that got me great. Too.
God, every time I look at it, it still gets me. But guys, get into the Warriors. If you don't know the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, LOD, get yourself YouTube, get the network, whatever you got to do. Find some of these matches because they were amazing.
Or even if you want something, I'm pretty, accessible, pretty visible in the group or, via Facebook Messenger. And I'm sure Jovan would be the same way. Reach out to us, send us a message on Facebook Messenger. Be like, hey, what's another good Road Warriors match? I have absolutely, as soon as I see the message, if I can respond, I'll respond right away. I have no problem sharing my knowledge.
Yeah, you guys can find me there. Jovan Menacho, I'm on there a lot. Message me, we'll get it taken care of. We'll give you some info.
Right.
All right. Yeah, that's definitely some great matches and moments to check out because I'm unfortunately in that younger generation. I've only seen a few things, so I'm not as familiar with the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, whatever you want to call them. So I will definitely be checking these out and can't wait to talk about it next week with you guys. So, like I said, great matches, great moments. So that's going to wrap up our first episode of the Junkyard. Any more closing thoughts, everybody?
First off, I want to say, this is a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to working with the both of you guys here down the line.
Absolutely.
And I'm going back to the whole segment with the classes in session, guys. Please, in the group, create a post, watch these matches, and let us know what you think. We want to hear. We don't want this just to be all about us. We want you guys to have a voice as well. So please, if you get a chance to watch one of these matches, excuse me, make a post in the Pro Wrestling Junkies group. Tag us and be like, hey, Jovan, I checked out, this match here. Thank you so much. This is what I took out of it. Because that's what this segment's all about. We want to educate you guys and maybe introduce you to something that you may have never given a thought to. So, other than that, again, I really enjoyed this. I look forward to this to being the first of many. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like Dennis said, please, make a post, hit up Jovan, Dennis. They will definitely be willing to give you guys some more matches, moments to check out from the Road Warriors or any of our future guests for sure, because they're definitely more knowledgeable than myself. So definitely hit them up. So thank you, everybody, for checking out the first episode of the Junkyard. I've been Spencer Cantor.
Giovanni Tuhati.
And this is DDJ.
All right. Hey, guys, we'll see you next week. See ya. Bye.
Peace.